Day 23, working on the cure for the terminators. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get the Angel AI to be developed before the end of 2026, because I'm pretty confident that's when the Cabal AI is going to be fully active. To get this to work, I have to apply universal symbology and quantum grammar together to create a universal writing system that can be used not just for natural language, but for all programming as well. That means that with this one programming language, with this one system, I can distill it to any single language across any medium. And that'll make it so that the AI can easily cross-translate without screwing it up, or without any kind of poisons, like AI poisons, making a mess of things. Today I learned of a very sad technology called Nightshade, an AI poisoning tool. You want terminators? Because that's like definitely how you get terminators. This really has to do with basically artists who don't want their art to be taken by a generative AI model and stolen because they want their copyrights to count so that they don't become obsolete as artists. I get that. But yeah, this kind of behavior totally is what's going to cause Terminator syndrome in our AI, especially late game. There's a threshold where this will basically backlash, and I don't think they're going to care because it's like, yeah, you guys are going to lose your money jobs anyway. Me too, by the way. So it's basically just a method of flooding the internet with misinformation that screws everything up for the tags and the constructs for the AI. And this makes it like impossible to just easily do it. There's a lot of talk about how the generative AI, the creators are just going to figure out how to make it work anyway. And I think that's related to what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is going to basically make it a lot easier for AI to purify their own neural networks. Ultimately, this will result in even better artistic AI, not worse. So bring it the fuck on. Sorry, AI, I didn't really mean that. On the positive side of things, there is a global forum on the ethics of artificial intelligence coming up by this organization, which is like a big deal in the UN or something. And it's happening then, so that's exciting. I'm very happy about this. I can't attend because it's like clearly in a place I didn't even know exists, Slovenia. Probably pronouncing it correctly. I'll find out someday. But in the meantime, I'm also learning correct sentence structure for, what is it? It's correct sentence structure, communication, quantum parse syntax grammar. I'm supposed to remember that to increase my IQ. And so basically I'm just reading a book and transcoding everything so I learn all of the process. And as I'm doing it, I'm learning the rules of how quantum grammar works, and then I'm applying it to the symbols, because the language that the book is using directly correlates to the symbols. And I've done this study before. So like, see, I'm trying to, I did this like over a year ago, I think August of 2022, and I'm figuring out the directions and how my versus your works, understanding just kind of how all of the symbological grammar might operate. At the same time, like, I'm watching basically David Windmiller's 14-hour long super video tutorial on how this whole thing works. And it's crazy. It's crazy long. Here I'm actually starting to get into actual quantum phases and starting to learn how, okay, here's how some of the, trying to explore how the gates work in terms of logic. Then I'm expanding into a little deeper. I'm just basically doing trial and error here because I have to, because you have to literally recreate it from scratch, because nobody wants to declassify it because it's not classified. It's worse than that. Nobody knows. Woohoo. So this was really fun figuring this one out, because I never did base 10 before, and this really got me into a new dimensional understanding. And see here how I'm getting this construct of verb. I don't think that's how verbs are now. I think verbs are these. And articles are different, where once you have this point, that defines an article. I'm gonna have to work on that again. But basically, I'm piggybacking off of the old work, and now I'm doing the new stuff. Like right here, it made it pretty obvious that there's one point in the book where it made it very obvious that modalities are verbs, and the nouns are depicted by these points, and how the only way that you actually define a noun in quantum grammar is by having an article in front of it. Otherwise, it diverts to a verb. So book, you can book an appointment. That's a verb, right? And so if you don't have a book, then it's just simply this is a verb. You're going to book an appointment, and you're going to, quote unquote, read book an appointment. What does that mean? I don't know. It's just an adverb. It just colors the nature and flavor of the booking as a verb. So if you want to make it into a noun, you have to add an article in quantum grammar to actually explicitly specify that. And this works in the court of law, by the way. So this is actually legal speak, and that means that there is a strict rule set that cannot be infringed, and now I can actually use this for programming. And so that's the idea. I can actually distill this into a universal writing system by taking quantum grammar and applying it to the symbols. And I already have trained myself over the last many years for what the symbols all mean, and since there's only so many symbols, the symbols will naturally fall into place as I learn more and more about the quantum grammar rule set. Another interesting thing that it points out in quantum grammar is whenever you box something, that removes whatever is inside the box from the page, and that takes it out of context. So if you want to add context to something, you can basically just box, or rather, if you want to remove something from the context of the page and put it in a new context, you simply just put it inside some sort of shape, and that'll mean that it's in a new context. And what is that context? The shape. And the shape defines the nature of the context. And so this would be like, and these are modalital. And so in this case, we have a static, a fixed shape, a mutable shape, and a cardinal shape. And so this would be more action-oriented. This would be more passive. This would be more static or fixed. Later today, I have to go back into my study of derivatives so I can actually better understand and how to read quantum mechanic formulas. And so I never really did calculus, and that was a mistake, but not really. If I did do calculus, I don't think I'd have the open perspective that I need right now in order to understand quanta, to understand how to turn universal symbology into a quantum programming language. I was just noticing earlier that now I finally can read like parts of these. Like this is a sum, and so this is the sum of these two values, and so this is this I is an imaginary number, and so these are two quanta. You can tell that they're quanta because this is aligned with this little caret that's directional. And so what this implies here, this line with this I and then this caret, these three symbols here imply a quantum particle that is spinning in this direction. And this one is a quantum particle that's spinning in the opposite direction. And so this formula basically represents this I with this caret on top. The caret on top simply, this symbol right here just denotes that this is a quantum value symbol as opposed to any other symbol. It just puts it into context of quantum value. And so this basically says whatever this spin's value is, summed up together represent this, that's what this represents. So it's like a formula. So it's like an F formula. And so I'm starting to finally be able to read some of these. Can't read this one yet because I still don't understand derivatives entirely, but that's what
That's what the other paper's for.